Welcome to this AQA GCSE Sociology revision blast. Today we're focusing on education and attainment, which is part of paper 1. We're going to start off with a 60-second challenge. You have 60 seconds to match the key phrases to their definition. You need to match the letters on the left with the numbers on the right, so you might want to have a pen and a piece of paper at the ready. Okay, let's go. Okay, hopefully you've had enough time to match those 5 key terms with the 5 definitions. Let's have a look at the answers. Okay, we have A2 matching together, ethnocentric, which is biased towards one ethnic group to the disadvantage of other ethnicities. B5, institutional racism, embedded racism in an organisation through its policies, practices and structure. C3, place greater value on education, a factor which might explain why students from Chinese or Indian backgrounds have higher school achievement. D1 is labelling, a factor based on teacher-student relationships, and E4 is stereotype, assumptions about a person or a group based on oversimplified characteristics, and links quite nicely with labelling. Okay, we are going to do a categorise activity now. On the screen we have 8 boxes. These can all be separated into material factors that affect attainment or cultural factors that affect attainment. You have got 60 seconds to separate them and pop them into the correct category. Off we go. Hopefully you've managed to pop those into the categories. Let's see whether you were correct. So our material factors that affect attainment are access to resources, which affects revision, poor housing conditions, which means that you may not have enough space to study. There might be quite loud noises happening in your house, so it's not easy to concentrate. Part-time jobs, which affects the time you have available to study, and a poor diet, which affects the ability to concentrate at school. It also might mean that your health is quite poor, so you end up with quite a lot of time off. Cultural factors that affect attainment are social capital, with the links to get ahead in life, which are quite common in independent schools, speech codes which help you decode exam questions, cultural capital, the knowledge and experiences that help you succeed, and parental involvement, so for example the encouragement, the help with homework. We now are going to have a look at mixed ability teaching, and we're going to think about the pros and cons of teaching in mixed ability groups. So this has been the subject of numerous studies by various sociologists. So what are the advantages of teaching in mixed ability groups? What we would like you to do is pause the video, note down 2 advantages, and then restart the video when you're ready, and we will see what you've come up with. Pause the video now. Okay, let's check the answers. So 2 advantages of teaching in mixed ability groups are the fact that students are not labelled, so there are no students feeling that they can't do it, and there's no glass ceilings or self-fulfilling prophecies. You also get the light bulb moments where students of lower or middle ability suddenly get it, and it's a real good confidence booster. Okay, what about the disadvantages though? So there are some disadvantages of teaching in mixed ability groups. What are they? So again, pause the video, note a couple of things down. When you're ready, restart. Okay, if you haven't already done so, please pause the video because we are about to reveal the answers. So we've got brighter students might lose interest if the lesson plods on at a slow pace, and children can lose confidence if they feel they can't keep up and they might be too embarrassed to ask for help. So well done if you got those. We're now going to think about setting by ability. So Stephen Ball did a really interesting study at Beachside Comprehensive where he was quite critical of setting by ability, but lots of schools do it. So we're going to think firstly about the advantages and then we'll think about the disadvantages. So what did his study actually reveal? So pause the video again. Note down a couple of advantages of setting by ability. So top sets, middle sets, bottom sets. Once you're done, unpause the video. Okay, let's reveal some answers. So it's easier for teachers to stretch those at the top end and support those at the bottom end because there's more individualised support. And it's much easier to tailor the content of the lesson to the right level of ability, so therefore there's less planning needed. So what about the disadvantages though? Because there are lots of people who don't like setting by ability. What are the arguments against setting by ability? Again, pause the video, note a couple of things down, and when you're ready, pop the video back on. Okay, let's reveal. So firstly, we have the stigmatisation of lower groups, so the labelling. And then we have expectations of middle and lower sets are often too low, so their attainment is lower than if they were actually taught in mixed ability. So for example, they might be set less homework, they might be allowed to chat and mess around a lot more. Well done if you got those. Right, we're going to move on to another categorised activity. So we've got 60 seconds to separate these key phrases into these 2 categories. Are they internal factors or external factors? We've got restricted speech code, gender scripts in the family, teacher labelling, parental attitudes to education, institutional racism, setting and streaming, the hidden curriculum, and material deprivation. So when we talk about internal factors, we're talking about factors within schools that affect attainment. External factors are those outside of schools. Off we go. Okay, how did we get on? Let's reveal the answers. So our internal factors are setting and streaming, institutional racism, teacher labelling, and the hidden curriculum. And our external factors are restricted speech code, parental attitudes to education, material deprivation, and gender scripts in the family. Right, we're going to continue focusing on the external factors for the next activity, which is a Give Me 3. We're going to do it 3 times. First time, we are looking for 3 factors outside of school that affect attainment by gender. You've got 30 seconds to note 3 things down. Off we go. Okay, let's see what you could have noted down. So 3 factors outside of school that affect attainment by gender. We've got growing aspirations of girls, so female role models to look up to. Leisure time, where girls often studying together, where boys are more likely to play games, and girls maturing earlier. Right, our next one is 3 factors outside of school that affect attainment by class. Off we go. Okay, hopefully you've managed to get 3, so let's have a look at what you could have written. So 3 factors outside of schools that affect attainment by class. The home environment, is it suitable for quiet study? Wealth, some parents can afford to buy in tutors, extra resources, etc. And some students might have to balance part-time work and study. Right, our last Give Me 3 is looking at 3 factors outside of schools that affect attainment by ethnicity. Off you go. So let's reveal what you could have noted down. So 3 factors outside of school that affect attainment by ethnicity. So we've got ethnic minority students are more likely to be living in poverty, so you've got your material factors. You've got cultural values, so Chinese families, for example, value education highly, so they push their children to achieve. And then we've got language barriers. Parents may not speak English, so they may be unable to help with schoolwork effectively. Let's move on to a bubble quiz. With the bubble quiz, you are going to see a series of questions. The number of answers that are correct can range from 0 to all 4. So you just need to note down how many are correct and which letters they are. Question 1. Which of the following groups are most likely to be placed into lower sets and streams? Working class girls, working class boys, Indian boys, or Chinese girls? So we'll just give you a moment. Note down the numbers that you think are correct. Okay, let's reveal. It is more likely to be working class students, so working class girls and boys. Number 2. Which of the following groups are most likely to be affected by an ethnocentric curriculum? Pakistani girls, middle class girls, Black Caribbean boys, or middle class boys? Let's reveal. It is Pakistani girls and Black Caribbean boys. Number 3. Which of the following groups are most likely to underachieve due to the feminisation of education? Is it Black Caribbean girls, Chinese girls, Black African boys, or white boys? Okay, let's have a look. It is Black African boys and white boys. Number 4. Which of the following in-school factors put ethnic minority groups at a disadvantage? Uniform and appearance regulations, school catering, the timetabling of exams, or school holidays? Let's reveal. It is all of them. So there is often conflict between ethnic minority students and appearance regulation. So, for example, afro hair is sometimes seen as an issue when obviously it shouldn't be. Timetable of exams can be a real issue, particularly when Ramadan falls in exams season. So you've got students who are fasting but trying to sit their GCSEs at the same time, which is obviously not very helpful. Right, last bubble quiz question. Which of the following groups are most likely to be perceived as ideal pupils? Chinese boys, Indian girls, Black Caribbean girls, or white middle class girls? Let's reveal. Okay, so we've got Chinese boys and Indian girls there. The idea there being that education is highly valued in both of those countries, so therefore there is pressure from parents for those students to do well, and white middle class girls also. Our last activity is the connection wall. On the screen in front of you, you have 3 groups of phrases, so 12 boxes that need to be divided up into 3 groups of 4. Now these are all factors that affect educational achievement. What you need to do is you need to pause the video. You need to work out which ones are affecting educational achievement by gender, which are affecting educational achievement by ethnicity, and which factors affect educational achievement by class. So we're looking for gender, ethnicity, and class. So pause the video and note down the ones that go with each of those. So gender, ethnicity, and class. If you haven't paused the video, then please do so because we are about to reveal these groups. Okay, let's have a look. So the first one that we're going to reveal is the factors that affect educational achievement by gender. So we've got difference in confidence. So boys tend to overestimate their abilities, so they study less, whereas girls underestimate theirs, so they put in a lot more effort. Growing ambition and increased expectations of girls who have become more career-minded over the last few decades. Girls mature earlier, so they're more organised and they often take their work more seriously. And we've got anti-learning subcultures. So some boys feel it's not cool to be seen as working hard. And that's a problem even with boys that are quite able. Right, let's reveal the factors affecting differences in educational achievement by ethnicity. So we have a religion, so might have extended periods away from school if observing religious holidays, so therefore you get gaps in your learning. Language barrier causes issues with interpreting exam questions and communicating answers. We've got labelling based on stereotypes and assumptions with that phrase, what teachers believe students achieve. And an ethnocentric curriculum can make some students feel that the curriculum is not relevant to them. And finally, our factors affecting difference in educational achievement by class are the following. Middle class parents, they know the rules of the game so they can push for what they want. Cultural capital, that knowledge, attitudes, cultural experiences that help in education. Parental aspirations can push pupils to achieve more. So, for example, they might invest in private tuition. And material factors that are linked to poverty that stop certain pupils achieving highly. So if you manage to get those in the correct categories, then well done. Right, well done for getting to the end of the revision blast. We have covered lots of content with education and attainment, and hopefully that's going to make you go into paper 1 feeling much more confident. Don't forget that we have got lots of revision blasts for all of the key topics that you study across papers 1 or 2, so please have a look at the playlist. Anything that's missing will be added in the next week or so. And the last thing from me is just to wish you the best of luck in both of those exams.